everyone, this is Miguel. We're gonna talk a little bit about this area we're in. It's more of the gathering area, and we're gonna tell you about the different features that are in it. So the first super exciting thing that we just got done with is the greywater system. The way this works is when you use the water, every time you use the water once, it becomes gray water. And instead of draining it down any drain wherever it goes,
the sewer, it ends up, going to the bay and too much fresh water in the bay.
Exactly. Yeah. It's really a waste because we could be using all these precious water for many things, but here we're using it to water our veggies and to create a wetland. So this is a wetland, and one of the reasons why we wanted to have a wetland is because it's one of the native ecosystems in California.
Yeah, the plant community. It's a real plant community called the wetland. Yeah.
And so it is a great opportunity to have a lot of water here because it allows you to have and create a wetland. Otherwise, since we're not in a wetland, a plant community ecosystem or whatever, and we don't get that much water and it's not shaped like it has to, you can't really create it. So we're taking the opportunity to create this. Now the way it works is the water drains down into a bucket that we have here that's going to be full of mulch. So that's going to filter out the water, just enough of the big chunks, and the water is going to infiltrate down into this wetland through a pipe, okay? And this whole area is 2 feet deep, and it's lined with an EPDM liner, is the way they call it, which doesn't let the water out. So it's going to contain the water. And down at the bottom we have some sand, and there's gravel, and then there's soil. So the only way the water actually comes out of this wetland is through 2 pipes that are down at the very bottom. One is here, and it helps the water leave and actually provide water to this little bush right here. It's a blueberry bush, and to this blackberry vine, which are plants, especially the blackberry, that require a lot of water to be healthy. So the water is leaving through a pipe that we perforated, and it's very deep down there. And the same thing on the other side, the water is going to
go feed
those trees right there.
To the raspberry?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
To the raspberry and to a grapevine that's very small right now, that's against the fence as well.
Okay, so 2 vines here that are going to cover the wall and provide a lot of food for the children, the families, and the teachers here.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the essence of the wetland and the greywater system.
So I want to talk about the plants that are in the wetland. So when we said, well, this is a local plant community or a local ecosystem, you can use those terms and interchange them. A plant community represents an ecosystem. And so this is a wetland plant community. So we picked out wetland plants that are going to attract wildlife. So there'd be birds coming here, there'd be butterflies, there'll be a lot of pollinators. But we also picked out some native wetland food plants. So we've got watercress, and we also have a seep monkey flower, which you can eat the leaves when the plant is young, and you can put them in salads. We're going to have a wild rose here, and you can have rose hips, and you can make rose hip jelly and rose hip tea. So there's a lot of ways that we can eat the food, and then some of these foods are also medicinal. We're going to put some mugwort in here. And we've got a wild grape, and we have a willow tree, actually. So the willow tree is going to get tall and help shade the community area, so the children will always be in shade.
Yep. Also, you might notice that there's actually irrigation here. The idea, of course, because there's so much water supposed to be flowing through it, is that we will eventually not need irrigation. Once the plants are established, the irrigation won't be necessary. Also because no one's here.
Yeah, and water. In the summertime, sometimes maybe there won't be kids here, and we won't be using the sink as much.
But yeah, the idea is that the sink will be used hopefully pretty often to wash the vegetables, and we'll have a table here, and because there's going to be enough water, we're hopefully not going to need it.
And another thing we're going to do is we can use the water in the sink to wet the sand and put little bowls of water, and the kids can play in the sand and make mud pies and things like that. So we have a little sand pit here. So the children, as the wetland grows, they will be right close to the wetland. And they'll get to experience a real wetland right here in the center of San Jose, where there aren't any wetlands. And we're using greywater to do it, mostly.
Yep. And this is supposed to be up high, by the way.
Yeah, we ran out of sand, so we're still working on everything. But kids love to play in sand and mud, and here we have it.
All right. I think that's it.
That's it.
Oh no, there's one more thing.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do one more thing.
The kiwi.
Yeah.
And the shade.
Yeah.